Thanos is a being that seems to actually do care about balance in the universe, of course, all in the name of death, of course. I mean, if you think about it, death is a part of life and balance. Stuff has to die to make room for new stuff. You think about it in a complex way, I guess death is kind of important. When it comes to Thanos, you probably remember him facing supremely strong All-Father level beings, Skyfather level beings like Odin himself, Thor's dad, that's ridiculously powerful. You probably remember those old scans, right? And he did this without the Infinity Gauntlet, by the way. No power-ups, his base power. But did you know Thanos has also battled Odin's father, Bor? To further prove why Thanos is supremely powerful. And I bet you probably didn't know that Thanos was able to resist the power of an Infinity Gem or an Infinity Stone. Like I'm talking about, there was this being known as Tyrant that had the literal Reality Stone. No, I'm not playing, like, yeah, reality warping abilities at his command. Tyrant did some reality warping stuff on Thanos. He did this to him and Silver Surfer. Yeah, this is kind of a feat for both of them. Yep, Thanos looked like he was literally a piece of scrambled paper, looking liquefied and crap, like reality warped. And he thought he was done for. Thanos said, nope, I am inevitable and reality is what I will make of it. And then punches Tyrant after, the reality gem. He resisted the reality gem. What? Thanos is built different. The movies portrayed Thanos as a being that's ridiculously strong physically and can fight real good, which for the most part is true. Even in comic lore, he's ridiculously strong physically. He's a beast. What you probably don't know about Thanos is that even without this ridiculously powerful glove, this video's not even going over that glove today. Without this glove, he's still a versatile character when it comes to different versatile abilities he can do in his base state. Like I'm talking about, he can just straight up do energy blast with his eyes with no Infinity Gauntlet. The same with energy blast from his hands with no Infinity Gauntlet. You can even argue he can increase his already insane durability with energy shields. Like he can use blast power for energy projection, or he can just make an energy projective shield, like on some Invisible Woman type stuff. His energy projection is part of the reason why it's kind of hard to overwhelm him or dogpile him, because he'll just go nuclear and blast. Yeah, look at all that radius he covered. Yeah, he'll just blast in every direction and then finish you off if you're only one left. Like he can hit you the old fashioned way with just blunt punches without no energy. But one could say he can make his punches more potent by putting energy around his fist. Like in this occasion, you can just see him hitting hard. You don't see no energy around his fist in this particular situation. He can just hit hard. But then when he really wants to get serious, you see the energy around his fist. Like, yeah, he's really about to amp his punches up with his energy manipulation. Yeah, you probably didn't know he's a full-blown energy projector in his base state. And you probably didn't know Thanos was a psychic, like having full-blown mind battles with other psionic type beings, mind wars. Like we even see in this particular occasion, him manipulating Gladiator's mind. Like, his implications, he has telekinesis, for example, like you say, he throws these asteroids like this, for example. Like in this occasion, it implied that he can heal beings. Like in this particular situation with Silver Surfer, he rekindled what remains of his life force. Yeah. Like, look at his hands. Where's the Infinity Gauntlet, guys? And he's still able to heal her. Yikes. He can boost and amp people up with his energy manipulation, amping beings up, their power more than normal. Can just give people energy to make them feel better. A big thing about Thanos is him acquiring knowledge. So he actually knows a thing or two about magic. It was in this occasion talking about his clones and stuff. Like, yeah, he's all about that knowledge. So don't think that studying is past him. He will study. They even talk about how they are a unique blend of android clone and mystical doppelganger. He even said, when did you start dabbling in occult?
He says about centuries before your birth.
You remember his little rivalry with Deadpool and them trying to make affection to death? Yeah, this is insane. Thanos is actually the reason why Deadpool was cursed with life, because of mystical type stuff. Like Thanos knows this kind of thing. They even go in detail here. I'm the one that cast a spell of the darkest necromancy. Yep, magic type stuff to curse Wade Wilson, gave him eternal life. But he's also the same one that can take back his curse or gifts, showing that, yeah, he is knowledgeable on that kind of stuff. Like in this particular situation, when it comes to Deadpool, he brought him back with a fusion of necromancy and science. Yet Thanos knows about that magic stuff. I wouldn't say he's as good as magic like Doctor Strange or something, but he definitely has some knowledge on it.
Thanos made contingency plans if by some miraculous way you was actually able to end his life for good. He has taken measures to have his consciousness uploaded and implanted into the mind of another upon his untimely demise. Even if you somehow damage him, it's not like a guarantee you will win, because even if his skin is like shredded and he's brought to like a skeleton, they asked, are you injured? He said, merely inconvenienced. And he just heals up like nothing happened. Like, what? Like, I'm talking about atomized like this. You thinking you murked him. Like, I'm talking about literal skeleton, and you see him literally get put back together, atom by atom. When Thanos was created in the cocoon, he must have been invested with an indestructible form. He's immune to death, they say. Like, yeah, he just literally got resurrected. After this absurdly powerful bomb, took him out.
I mean, Thanos is just meant to be a crazy being. You're going to see throughout this video. He can even deliver apparent permanent death to places in the universe that's not supposed to have permanent death, like the Cancerverse. He can apparently deliver permanent death somehow. Thanos. Hope you guys enjoy. See, when we deep dive into Thanos, there's a lot of layers on why he's strong. One could say mainly because of his physiology on why he's so strong. He's from Titan, but he is a true Eternal. All this information is actually in the Eternals comment with these other Eternal beings. So yeah, he is an Eternal like these other beings. In this scan right here, they talk about in his lore that he is the most powerful of the Eternals of Titan. In this page in particular that's dedicated to the Eternals, the different Eternals have different bases of operations, one of them being Olympia, Greece, Titan, that's what Thanos is from. There's Eternals scattered all over the place. Eternals have different bases of operations. Not to mention when they're literally labeling different Eternals, Thanos is literally right here on the list. And this could give you some idea of all the stuff I'm going to show you throughout this video on why Thanos is so strong. This is part of the reason why all this stuff is possible, because Eternals' bodies' cells contain cosmic energy and they maintain constant mental control over every molecule of their bodies. Eternals are virtually immortal and can be restored to life even if the molecules of their bodies are scattered. All Eternals possess the capacity for superhuman strength, telepathy, flight, teleportation, illusion casting, transmutation of organic and inorganic matter, the generation of various forms of energy from their bodies, including force, heat, light, other electromagnetic radiation. Some Eternals have devoted themselves to specializing in a particular facet of their powers. Blah, blah, freaking blah. That's why different Eternals have different powers. There's a lot of them similar, a lot of differences too. Because Eternals are an evolutionary offshoot of humanity produced by genetic experiments of the enigmatic Celestials around 1 million years ago and stuff. The Eternals ended up making their own society and stuff. Stated here about his lore, Thanos is an Eternal, part of an offshoot humanity created by the cosmic Celestials. See, you know how there was Eternals, and you know how there's these things known as deviants. The Eternals are distantly related to the genetically unstable deviants, who also descended from celestial experiments and normal humans. This is part of the reason why Thanos is so strong, because he's kind of like an anomaly, like he's an abstract. He's got some of this deviant stuff in him because Thanos, stated here, had a rare genetic disposition known as the deviant syndrome, and his monstrous appearance made him an outcast. But this outcastness is kind of what made him powerful too. He's an Eternal, a race of superhumans. Their son, Thanos, was born with the deviant syndrome, a genetic predisposition in Eternals, a mutation. That's why they say he's a mutant. And as a result of this anomaly, this is part of the reason why it made him so freaking strong. As a result, the child possessed great power at an early age. He's a born Eternal. They called him a mutant, a deviant. But this anomaly is what made him scarier. Within him, the blood of Olympian gods, modified at the whim of the Celestial. Like, you got occasions like this that call him a mutant demigod. He's a product of an evolved offshoot of the gods of Olympus. And he goes further talking about how the Titans were a splinter group, initial test subjects, the Eternals. And that's when they had like the different outposts. And here they was talking about how he has the deviant gene, which was a blessing and a curse because he was an outcast, but it gave him, one could say, way better potential than everybody else. You know Thanos is built different because how do you remember your mom tried to murk you? Like, how do you even remember that? yeah, he definitely remembered. He craved more power, met death, and all this stuff in general is what kind of made him obsessed with death, becoming insane. Yeah, it sucks that your own mom will try to, look how he looked when he was a baby. Yep, his own mom try to take him out. So it lets you know that there's something different about Thanos. Not to mention being obsessed with the literal abstract entity known as death. And if he's not obsessed with the abstract being known as death, what about the goddess of death, Hela? Skyfather being, Hell Lords. He loves Mackinwood, I guess. So his genetics was already built different, but he makes it a point to get stronger over time via science, magic, experiments. Like I already brought up, he knows magic and stuff. Like all this knowledge stuff is all to help him get mightier, because they talk about right here, when it comes to his powers and abilities, they talk about how Thanos possesses incredible recuperative ability and has focused his energies on self-development. Yeah, self-improvement. He's on that Goku status, getting stronger. They said he initially further enhanced his strength, agility, reaction time, aka fighting speed, and endurance through genetic engineering and magic. So he uses magic, science, and all that stuff to amp himself up. This is why he would amplify the projection of his destructive blast from his hands or eyes, like I already mentioned. It's even talked about here on how he honed and grew his abilities with meditation and bionic implants. That's a constant theme of him growing stronger. Alternate experimenting on his deviant biology, increasing his strength, his intellect, and his cruelty.
saying he's been maximizing his personal might for long centuries.
These enhancements were only artificial until his death. You know, comics characters die, they come back to life all the time. The concept of death, the abstract entity, restored him. Now he just straight up, like, without even like his base enhancements. At first there was enhancements, but now they're just a part of his natural power. Being closely related to death has its perks. He got like this mystical chair. It got destroyed, and Thanos rebuilt it scientifically. Because he's smart. It's even stated that his most powerful weapon is his mind, which is why he's not afraid to actually use guns. Like when it comes to fighting skill stuff, I'm talking about like full-blown sparring sessions with Gamora, for example. Like he would do straight up sparring sessions.
Don't get it twisted. He will not hesitate to slay them too, like his own daughters. I mean, just look what he did to Nebula. He horribly scarred her with his I-beam.
Statements like this could have multiple meanings. They talk about how he's been taught the black arts, long outlawed. This could imply hand-to-hand skills, or this could imply magic type stuff or something. You know, I'm thinking hand-to-hand. We've actually seen Thanos use a blade. You know, it was this occasion of him using the Twilight Sword from Surtur, you know, future stuff. I mean, we've seen Thanos use all kinds of different stuff, like even spears. Like in this occasion, he was using the spear to hunt and stuff, to eat and such. Yeah, he really doesn't mind using melee weapons. It's not that he needs it. His raw cosmic energy and stuff and blast power and stuff is already crazy, but his hand-to-hand and stuff, he does use like different weapons. See him wielding some type of blades. Very interesting seeing him use different type of weapons. A lot of people aren't used to this, considering how he literally doesn't need it. If it's just lying around, he'll use it to help finish off an opponent, like an axe. I mean, he'll literally use a sword. On top of his crazy power, which I'm gonna go over a lot in this video, he has his own fleet, like, and his armor even technically has cloaking. In comics, there's this thing called temporary powers. I always bring up in my videos. So while it is true, Thanos in his comic career has got temporary powers like the Cosmic Cube, most famously the Infinity Stones, the gems in the comics. You're probably used to this type of stuff with him. Despite all this being temporary powers, even without all this stuff, his base abilities, thanks to death, his own enhancements, he's gained natural abilities that are technically just permanent powers as a part of his power set. Stuff that's completely unrelated to this Infinity Gauntlet stuff. Even though I will admit that possible futures when it comes to Marvel usually end up never actually really happening in the main universe, I do think possible futures are a good way to understand a character, especially a character like Thanos, who's always striving to get stronger. This kind of applies for Thanos in the possible future. If his future self in a possible future that probably won't ever happen is probably considered non-canon, he still continues the trend of getting stronger over time, conquering all, even in his base state. Marvel has a lot of like ways to get stronger. You know, you got stones, heart of the universe, cosmic cube. In the future, it's implied there's this thing known as God Query. It's similar stuff to what we're used to. Like we're always used to this kind of stuff. Him growing, altering experimenting on his deviant biology, increasing his strength, his intellect, and his cruelty. It's a common theme. This kind of applies for possible future stuff too. It's stated right here, welcome to the God Quarry. This is a place of the dead and forgotten gods who have come to rest here, and their quarry still holds all of their power. So just to let you know he's getting amped up, this is context on why he's getting so strong. You have to take the trial, and whoever takes the trial and passes, that raw power can be there. Of course, you guys already knew this was coming. Thanos does end up completely passing the God Query challenge and getting the power. Like, this power-up is kind of crazy, guys, because majority of this video, or a lot of this video, is going to be him without the God Query. The whole point of him getting his power was to be able to fight a Phoenix Force avatar. You know how busted the Phoenix Force is. Like, you see how he was in stone right here? He had to complete the trial, and that's when he busts out, being renewed and powered up more than ever, earning his power. Keep note, guys, I want you guys to remember before this permanent power-up, or power-up in general, which I'm going to bring back up in this video. I'm just giving you a brief overview real quick. We've seen him clash with Skyfather taking his blast like Odin before this God Query stuff, guys. The handbooks even say he's capable of exchanging blows with Odin. Let's analyze the guy that's constantly growing stronger. The guy that's called a mutant, a deviant, in a possible future somehow killed Galactus, cosmic beings like Infinity, and the living tribute. Like, what? You know what? I ain't gonna get to this yet, but what? I mean, let's analyze the absurd might of Thanos, but let's get into it. Yeah, Thanos is ripped. I mean, even when his armor's ripped away, he can still rip stuff up like this and lift it up with his super strength. It should come as no shot to you that he can lift hundreds, thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of tons. He can throw literal asteroids with his muscle. Look at these large structures he be throwing at beings during fights. Based on all the characters I've already kind of showed in this video already, and the characters I'm going to show you in this video, him lifting a cruise ship and stuff should definitely be easy, definitely believable when it comes to his muscle and power. I would even go as far as saying this is pathetically disrespectful. Not that lifting a lot of weights matter with Thanos. He can just blast you away and put energy around his fist to punch you hard anyway. But by the time this video ends, I'm pretty sure you're going to believe he can easily lift planets. Don't get me wrong, we've seen him lift absurd amount of weight, with his incredible super strength, but this doesn't really scratch the surface on how strong he really is, though. I mean, his fists literally have weight behind them. Like, it's certain occasions where you don't even see him using energy projection. The shockwaves of his hits in general just blast people backwards. Vehicles this big, it doesn't matter. He can rip them apart. We've seen him punch apart drones. Like, this looks like something from the Invincible universe, the way these punches look. In this particular situation, punching Imperial guards, the Shi'ar, when he's literally dying from the god cancer stuff, outnumber him, won't matter. He will solo you all, even if it's multiple guards, ripping off literal arms, punches through beings. He makes a habit of punching through beings. Even if you're wearing Iron Man-like armor, like War Machine, for example, he'll punch through you. Like, you see this cannon right here, can just stomp and mess it up. I mean, look at his vice grip on how he does this to weapons. You know the weapon Ronan always uses? We've seen Thanos break it with his bare hands here. We've seen him actually tear the flesh off a being's arm. Like, you can see the muscle. Yikes. Beings that are probably the size of buildings or a couple stories tall, like, you literally see him not have no type of gear. Literally, he can punch through this being's hand. This Cancerverse version of Giant Man. This being can get as big as buildings. Yeah, he can definitely knock buildings over. I'm pretty sure if he can blow away spaceships like this, he can definitely destroy buildings. We've seen him land or strike on top of a helicarrier and tilt such big structures like this. Structures that have to weigh over hundreds of thousands of tons. And I already said this, but yeah, vice versa. When it comes to his blunt strikes, this goes for his blast too, whether from his eyes or his hands. The same way he can concussively punch these beings, we see him blast. And in this particular situation, he was kind of dying, so this is even cooler. Multiple soldiers, he would just blast away. Straight up narrated that his blast at a bare minimum can level a mountain. Of course, that kind of raw power is expected, ain't it? We've seen him fight other beings like Drax, clash with these beings known as Drax, and due to them clashing, Thanos is part of the reason it is, they literally destroy a planetoid. So this is pretty much proving that they are planet busters. Duh. Planetary explosion. So when it comes to planetoids like the moon, he should have no issue busting those up, or him having the punches to devastate planetoids even bigger like the Earth. He shouldn't have no problem destroying. This is classic Marvel stuff. We literally seen it happen here, destroying a planet as collateral of their fight. In this particular situation, completely eats an attack from Drax, even says your power is useless. Shielding from Drax here, even takes out Drax, sending him to the next dimension here. I mean, large planetoid, or one could say gas giant. Like, look, the gas giant's core got ignited, and big explosions like this he can be in the middle of. Yeah, ridiculously large explosions, like planetoid stuff can explode in his face. He just survived, planetary explosions in his face. Thanos is like that. Yeah, you're going to see a lot of your favorite characters get bullied in this video. One of them being Black Bolt, who has absurd screams. He has absurd blast power with his screams. It only messes up Thanos' armor. And you guys know how Black Bolt screams. Or his voice is narrated to be able to split an entire planet into asunder, or just overall obliterate half of this planet, discharges and shakes a continent, and Thanos has to withstand this kind of energy. Or here, like later comics when you get the God Quarry, we see him push a being through a planet. As a collateral of him pushing a being through the planet, he was able to destroy the planet. Like, Thanos has like ships, and these ships are armed to the teeth. Beings even sense how much power they have. Like, there's a place known as Sanctuary, known to have planet-shattering forces within it, which makes sense. He can planet shatter. Just planet-shattering power. Whether we're talking about his ships or his own just punches or his own blast power. He ain't got to do crap. All he got to do is just get a whole bunch of his fleet, and they alone can ravage a world. He literally has ships he can press a button to that can mess up or vaporize a big part of the surface of a planet. You can see the destruction yourself to show that it's not an exaggeration. So he can just have his cannons blast a big chunk of a surface of a planet apart while he's just sitting there chilling. Or he could choose to do it himself. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Because generally speaking, Thanos has always been like a team buster type character. I'm talking about, he's always been strong to where he can kind of hang with Skyfather level beings. Where if there was a hypothetical grid to ask you of who can strike the hardest out of these beings, of course this is not official, there's no like exact math to this, but based on the stuff I'm about to show you in 2 seconds, if I had to make a grid, like under these circumstances, give or take, for the most part, I think we all can agree that he would be considered above our favorite powerhouses in their base state, because he's always been generally portrayed to be a powerhouse when it comes to team busting, fighting multiple powerhouses at the same time, knocking them out with ease, which I'm going to show evidence of in 2 seconds if you don't believe me. But before I even show that evidence, under normal conditions, I would say this would still apply for the whole, like under normal situations, under normal rage levels, he would be above these beings, because these beings are generally considered the poster boys of Marvel powerhouses. Obviously, these characters can get stronger through different comic book stories and different means. Like, we know the Hulk can get strong enough to where he can eventually fight Skyfathers. Like, yeah, I ain't talking about that. Like, and we know current Thor, actually ends up getting the full power of the Odin Force. You know, his dad, the Skyfather, he ends up getting the full power of. Yeah, obviously, when I'm talking about him being above your favorite heroes, I'm not talking about that stuff. Obviously, if I was to include Odin Force Thor, that would be a whole different thing. He would be up there with Thanos or possibly above, you know. Same with Hulk, because, you know, Hulk ends up battling this Thor. Yeah, the Hulk's rage allows him to be able to even hang with Skyfathers. Yeah, so if we were talking about this would change the game for Hulk and Thor too, being up there with Thanos. But like I said, with enough rage, the Hulk can match him and counter him. You know, that's the Hulk, though. You know, his power can increase. But yeah, when I'm not talking about this kind of Hulk and Thor, especially when it comes to the classic comics. So while it is true there are occasions where the Hulk's rage can reach the Skyfather levels or higher, Thanos levels are higher. Under these conditions, like their base states, I would say Thanos is consistently like this, right? And a good way to understand Thanos' might is when you see him manhandling powerhouses like this. Not to mention, even with the Odin Force, it's not a guarantee that Thor would just one-shot him or something. Still, it won't be easy. There was this time Thor had actually one of these ridiculously powerful gems. Matter of fact, Thor actually had the power gem, the thing that gives you an increased power overall, raw power output. So one could say in this particular situation, Thor was massively amped up. This is just to give you a quick idea of what I'm talking about when I say he's generally above our standard powerhouses. Thor is actually amped up beyond belief here, and it's still not like an easy fight. Thor just can't outright strike and just beat him down with hammer blows. It just lets you know how astronomically busted Thanos is. Like, notice how it's just an interesting challenge for him. He's smiling and he is bleeding, but it's like a challenge still. But you would think anybody that has the Power Stone, it would instantly be a mismatch. But Thanos, it's not a mismatch for Thanos, even when Thor's massively powered up like this. This is why I say, normally speaking, under his base conditions, he would generally be considered above your standard powerhouse character. You know what I mean? This is what I'm talking about with this. I mean, how many beings you know can just mind control beings like Hulk on the spot like this? Hulk is not easy to mind control, and Thanos over here calling him weakest of the minds says Hulk is not in control. Like, it just lets you know like how much of a menace Thanos is. Just like a quick example, just to show you I wasn't BSing 2 seconds ago. Like, I'm talking about when he swarmed with beings like the Thing and the Hulk, Professor Hulk in this state, and, you know, different iterations of Thor. Notice how Hercules is in the vicinity. Where's the Infinity Gauntlet at? It doesn't matter. He still slaps Hulk and Drax here. His blast power does major damage to Hulk here. Like, even Iron Man type characters, he can just blast and tear off their armor, one-shotting them with ease. Talking about he can kill her in an instant. Powerhouses like Captain Marvel the male, when we literally see him knock him out that easy. Adam Warlock, an extremely powerful being, and in a lot of comics has a literal gem in his head, an Infinity Stone in his head, Infinity Gem. We literally see Thanos make him drowsy with strikes. Adam Warlock is the same being that be having like a literal gem in his head and be fighting Hell Lords like Mephisto in his own realm. We've seen him straight up knock out a Super Scroll. Notice how you see the energy around his fist amping his punches. His durability also shows his strength too. Namor, a powerhouse in his own right, says he's almost breaking his fist punching him. But when Thanos punches him, he says this pain is beyond anything he's ever felt. Yeah, he was really messing up Namor. When it comes to Thanos' power, energy projection, or whatever, we've seen him actually clash beams with beings like Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers, along with other powerhouses too. But don't forget, her in her base state has so much blast power, she can melt a hole in a star. Like, that's the type of blast power these powerhouses in Marvel can do when it comes to star-shattering stuff. Thanos can casually take attacks from powerful beings like this, Avengers like this. Her base state already has the blast power to blast holes in stars. What do you think is going to happen when she's in her binary mode? And he can still withstand blast from her too, in a powered up state. So when it comes to star-shattering stuff, that's like not enough for Thanos. His body can withstand that kind of power. Whether we're talking about the female Captain Marvel, the male Captain Marvel, like, we've seen him effortlessly knock him out, knock out beings that can destroy stars and planets and stuff. And notice how his fist is able to clash with the beams of beings that can easily blast holes through stars. You know, his fist can clash with beings this strong when it comes to how hard he can hit. His punches are as heavy as a star falling on your face or worse. Underrated powerhouses like the Thing, we've actually seen him lay out. He's faced powerhouses like Nova, withstands hits from beings like this. Ronan's somebody that's really powerful in his own right. We've seen him punch and do this too. Like, it was bad. Don't forget, Ronan is not a weakling. Like, he can generate energy with his universal weapon to make it feel like a planet's landing on you. Like, in this occasion with the Thing. These are the type of beings he's always battling against. Beings that can contain supernova type of explosions, beings that can, like in this occasion, this was a team effort. Ronan, Silver Surfer, and Quasar, they was able to help manipulate the energy to join 2 stars. Stated here, the 2 stars have become one, conjoining the stellar masses. Like, this is the type of stuff they do. Ronan was 1/3 the power to do stuff like this. So this just gives you an idea. Yeah, Thanos is way above planet shattering. He's more easily a star shatterer based on clashing with beings like Ronan. So not only could his punches or just energy output in general devastated Earth, but even planetoids way larger by default. would be able to tremble planets like Jupiter or Saturn. Because, you know, even large planets like Jupiter look small compared to the sun. I mean, the beings he's overpowering was able to fuse 2 stars, or was 1/3 the power to help fuse 2 stars. So shaking 2 planets like large, extremely large planets like this is definitely believable. This should be like a joke, honestly. Sun-shattering might is definitely easy for Thanos. Still not convinced? Well, how about with blast power? We've seen Thanos, you see Silver Surfer, he completely makes a fool out of, blocking his attacks, blast, punching him. Like in a one-sided fight, like you see this, he punches him dang near to death with just straight punches. This lets you know how hard Thanos can hit, considering all the stuff that Silver Surfer's body can withstand. When it comes to the durability Silver Surfer can withstand, yeah, it was pretty bad. So I'm pretty sure if he can mess up Silver Surfer this bad, I mean, this Silver Surfer is a guy, his body's doing enough to withstand going in the actual literal black hole. You know, black holes that can easily destroy planets and mess up the whole solar system, stuff like that. We've seen Silver Surfer's body literally withstand this kind of pressure. And we've seen Thanos with his blast power do severe damage to this being, even if it's punches or blast, this being that can easily go in black holes. And this is nowhere near Silver Surfer's limit, guys. Like, he's going through black hole type stuff. Like, it's no big deal either, guys. I'm talking about like going through it as a means of transportation without receiving any damage. So black holes can't even damage Silver Surfer's body, but Thanos can.
It's just casual stuff. Like, we see him literally go, like, they're literally fighting in a black hole. Yep. Just to show that it really is a black hole, they even talk about it here. A black hole is a collapsed star which has become so dense, its gravitational field so powerful that light itself is trapped and bent around it. Any object or entity within its radius would never be drawn in and crushed to nothingness. And yet, impossibly, 2 beings shielded by their own enormous and almost equal power struggle within the dying star's black heart. It lets you know they're fighting while they're in the black hole. Like, the pressure of black holes are not as scary as Thanos' punches, basically. Yeah, and this kind of stuff goes for his blast, too. Like, his blasts or punches are scarier than a black hole. If Silver Surfer can easily just fight in black holes, not receive no damage, Thanos can beat this guy to death. Silver Surfer is the type of guy that literally be just chilling right next to supernova explosions. So yeah, either when it comes to black holes, Thanos is scarier than. The same goes for supernova explosions, or one can say star explosions. The sun or star explosions, by default, his hits would have to feel worse than, because supernova explosions can't threaten Silver Surfer's body, but Thanos can almost dang near punch him nearly to death. You guys know of this absurdly powerful being known as Gladiator, right? A being that can apparently rip apart black holes with his bare hands. How does that even work? So it lets you know how durable his hands are. This being known as Annihilus, who was powered up more than ever before, powered by the Hulk, and messed up this powerful being Gladiator, somebody that can rip apart stars. Like, you just casually messing up beings that can withstand stars and black holes. This should give you more evidence of Thanos' power. Because with his raw power output, he was able to mess up a being that messed up Gladiator. You can kind of see the gap between Gladiator and Thanos based on this. We see Thanos give this being some work. More implications of Thanos' hits or strikes being scarier than black holes. Silver Surfer is one of the best energy manipulators. He can blast with a ridiculous amount of concussive force. Notice how Thanos, with his raw blast power, energy projection, it can match his, blocking his blast, and then counter with a punch with his own blast enhanced energy punches. This is more impressive than you think, because we already know Silver Surfer is way above star shattering. But when you dig deeper into Silver Surfer and Thanos blocking his blast like this is even more impressive than you think. Silver Surfer, we've seen him put out a lot of energy, like so much energy to where it was like devastating. It was so wide of a radius, the energy he unleashed, you needed to be light years away to be safe from the energy he released. This can give you an idea of what Thanos is truly competing with and why messing him up is such a big deal. Silver Surfer released so much energy to where you had to be light years away to be safe from the radius. It was so much power. He created his own black hole that looked like it was on some galaxy-wide type stuff. And if you think this is an exaggeration, Surfer tore a hungry hole. It was a singularity black hole brought about by the Silver Surfer's energy discharge. Not to mention super smart beings like Dr. Doom said if Silver Surfer was to go crazy, his energy misused could destroy a galaxy. So it kind of adds up. Despite all of this power Silver Surfer has, he can't seem to do nothing to Thanos. So it just lets you know how crazy Thanos is. This would imply that Thanos is way, way, way scarier than just punching apart black holes, punching apart suns. Like, a sun is big compared to planets, but there's a lot of different suns and stars in one galaxy, and Surfer was able to create something that was able to apparently be as wide as a galaxy or devastate galaxy-wide structures. Statements that he can mess up a galaxy. By default, Thanos would possess galaxy-trembling power with his energy projection or just his punches, considering how Silver Surfer really couldn't do nothing to him. And Thanos matched his blast with his own blast. Look at the disrespect he's doing to Surfer. Like, he's literally not even trying to defend himself. Silver Surfer blasts him in the face. He just eats it. Like, what are you doing? Gets back up unscathed.
And it happens again, guys. You get the point. Like, Thanos literally smiled after the blast. I mean, he is a full-blown energy manipulator, energy projector. I wouldn't be surprised if he can make his own black hole with his own energy that would mess up the entire solar system, or a black hole that can mess up a whole star, multiple stars, or devastate a whole galaxy with his own black hole with his energy discharge if Silver Surfer can. I wouldn't be surprised if he could do the same with his energy manipulation. Don't ask, but there was like this occasion where the real Silver Surfer was fighting like other versions of himself, like real versions of himself. Like what? There was like a lot of Silver Surfers. And Thanos says, you other Silver Surfers, y'all are being annoying. Let me blast y'all somewhere else. And not to mention, he was holding back saying he didn't destroy them. He just scattered them. Newer comics, old comics, Silver Surfer and Thanos are always clashing with one another. There's even moments where Silver Surfer say, you know I'm your equal, and Thanos will disagree, saying Thanos of Titan has no equal. You get body slammed. Even different versions of Silver Surfers that are powered up, like the Black Silver Surfer with Mjolnir, who stated, Thanos of Titan, you cannot stand before the power of Cosmic and the might of Mjolnir. Thanos says, I don't give a crap if you have both those powers. He doesn't care which version of you he has to confront. He will still slam you to the ground like the rest. I mean, this guy literally hit this Black Silver Surfer with Mjolnir with his own board, withstanding consistent Mjolnir blasts. In this occasion, these two blasted him away, though. Oh, did I mention there was like this artificial singularity, a black hole that his body has survived or withstand as well. So it lets you know, yeah, he can withstand black holes too. His durability is crazy. Galactus is the reason why Silver Surfer is even able to do all this stuff, like surviving galaxy explosion stuff, this black holes and stuff. The reason why he's that durable to withstand that stuff is because of Galactus, the being. This being is so powerful, he gave him that kind of power. He could just give away this level of power like it ain't nothing. Galactus can give you the power and just simply strip the power away from you. So it just lets you know how crazy Galactus is. Like, here's the thing. I'm not trying to say Thanos is up there with Galactus, the guy that gave Silver Surfer his power, because Thanos himself admitted, at least during these times, that his power was nothing compared to Galactus at this time period, of course, before the God Quarry stuff, of course. Galactus actually had to exert himself to get through this field. He even says, never before have I had to exert myself to pierce a mere force field. So it lets you know that this is still a pretty decent amount of force that Thanos can produce or shield himself with. It's at least worth showing this, that he did blast and sent Galactus flying this far with his blast power. Like, y'all saw when Drax had like the Cancerverse version of Mjolnir. Thanos had to stop this strike. Makes you wonder why he doesn't do this more, but he can change beings into stone apparently. And Beta Ray Bill's hammer, Stormbreaker, because he can generate powerful force fields to stop this weapon. And that's how he's able to fight another Thor-centric type character, Beta Ray Bill, somebody that's a Thor-centric, Thor-tier type being. I mean, Thanos' blast power has shown to be so crazy. Even beings that are full-blown energy manipulators have a hard time countering his energies. So it lets you know he's different. Just because you're an energy manipulator doesn't mean you'll be able to counter his energies. Even stated, helpless. The energies Thanos used to bind me were alien. I couldn't manipulate them. Like, he literally blasts energy manipulators here with his eye beams. Like, it's a part of his power set. He doesn't have nothing on. Like, he's forever pausing energy manipulators. Like, he catches this guy's punch, for example. Like, it's always nice seeing Thanos go against some of your favorite titanically strong characters, like the Hulk, for example. No glove on, by the way. This is a newer-esque century type comics, too. Getting hit by the Hulk with a punch. Like how he's getting hit here. Visually, you can see the full-blown slugfest between the two. While he's battling Hulk, having to take hits from other Avenger-type beings, too. The fact he can pretty much curb stomp or knock out Beta Ray Bill, it's almost like this pretty much confirms he can knock out Thor. That he be battling Thor and matching Thor consistently. Thor in his base state before the Odin Force stuff, of course. Like, Thor looks like he's trying pretty hard here fighting Thanos, hitting him. You see Thanos push him back. In this occasion, you see him blast the Thing and Thor. All the powerhouses are here. Hercules, god of strength, they're punching something and they can't necessarily break in. Like, look at all this mess. Like, yeah. Notice how Thanos busted it open, talking about that felt good. Hercules, somebody that's always a match for Thor. You've seen plenty of evidence of him overpowering Thor-centric type characters like Beta Ray Bill. Beings like Hercules couldn't break through that shield, but Thanos could. And we know Hercules is somebody that can shake the freaking universe. I would have thought this was an exaggeration when it comes to shaking the universe, but it's not an exaggeration. Because holding an immeasurable or an infinite type weight is like a part of their lore. Like, you know how the Atlas, you got the Atlas holding up the heavens. Like, it's literally shown here, the feet of him holding up the heavens. They even talk about it in the guidebook, how he's immeasurably strong, can support infinitely massive weights like the heavens themselves. Of course, this isn't Hercules, this is Atlas, but you guys know Hercules had to relieve him of his duty and do something similar by relieving Atlas of his duty. So Hercules himself had to, hold the heavens in the Marvel lore. This is a Greek myth feat, so can't really call it an exaggeration when it's a part of their lore to be able to do these labors. And in Marvel, this is what these labors look like when it comes to their lore. So when Hercules says he can literally punch and shake the universe, I definitely believe him when you consider this kind of stuff is a heavy part of their lore. These kind of feats are common for powerhouses like Hulk, Thor, Hercules. You get the idea. And this is the type of stuff they were struggling to bust through. And this is the type of stuff Thanos can just, with ease, just blast through with his energy projection. His attacks are that heavy. So in actuality, galaxy-shattering type power is an oversimplification, honestly. So with his blast power, Thanos is out here overpowering beings that can literally just shake the entire universe with the energy of their hits they can produce. He's matching these type of beings, overpowering them and treating them like jokes. These different powerhouses of Marvel Comics. Thanos can definitely shake the universe. He's always team busting these type of heroes. Thor had to be amped up to fight him. You get the idea. I want you guys to realize why this is impressive. Thor's central type characters, giving it everything they got against him, is impressive. And Thanos pushing them back like this says a lot about Thanos and how hard he can hit. I want you guys to remember the ludicrous stuff that Thor's body can withstand. There was this life bomb that was going to cause a new Big Bang, this Big Bang all over this scan, guys. Thor literally can surround a bomb like this that was going to do a new Big Bang, surrounding it, withstanding all of that. They thought he was dead and he wasn't. Not to mention, two Thor-centric beings clashing can create a force that can be released throughout the universe comparable to the legendary Big Bang. When their attacks hit each other, their mystical energy erupts simultaneously across all planes of reality, and these shockwaves stretch across the entire cosmos or universe. That's the type of stuff Thanos is overpowering. Overpowering Thor and them is not as easy as you think. Matter of fact, those were Thor knockoff fake versions of Thor. Imagine the real Thor, the real Thor stronger than the fake Thors. You see what I'm saying? And Thanos makes this kind of stuff look easy on a daily. Universe shaking power. This type of stuff Thanos be competing with. He can produce this kind of power too to match them or overpower them. It's basically saying his punches feel like stuff that creates the universe. That's what I'm saying, these type of beings. We've even seen them getting scuffles with different Hell Lords. You got the Hell Lords like Mephisto, Hela. We've seen them blocking an attack from a Black Heart. Remember Adam Warlock stuff I brought up earlier? Let's talk about it. Adam Warlock is a being that always be having these different gems. He has one gem in his head. We've seen Thanos actually with no gauntlet or nothing make this guy sleepy with a couple hits, punches. Matter of fact, with his blast power here, when it comes to Adam Warlock, he actually takes him out. As Vegeta would say in the old days of Dragon Ball, he sent him to the next dimension, blasting him into bits. Adam Warlock is a being that usually has a lot of power. Even compared to top tier Hell Lords like Mephisto, thanks to the Soul Gem and stuff like that, he can use the power of the Soul Gem and stuff like that. He's actually did major damage to Hell Lords like Mephisto. Even having full-blown fights with Mephisto in his own freaking realm, Mephisto is a Hell Lord type being, to where in his realm, he's apparently supposed to be invincible or omnipotent, apparently. Or that the realm is him. No, I'm not making this up. The realm is literally them. Mephisto's literally a conceptual type being. We're not supposed to perceive them. They're ideas, living ideas. Mephisto says, my realm is me, my place of power. This dimension is a reflection of my being alone, and this is a place I am all. That's what Mephisto says. These Hell Lord beings are higher dimensional beings, pan-dimensional beings that are bigger than our reality, too big for our reality to comprehend. This can give you perspective on why Adam Warlock fighting Mephisto was so impressive. They're higher dimensional beings, bigger than universes technically. And this is what Adam Warlock has to fight against. And not only battled this being and defeated this being in his own place. Not only has Thanos battled and messed up Adam Warlock, but Mag is somebody that's an evil counterpart to Adam Warlock. We've seen him blast, so that's impressive for Thanos to make Adam Warlock sleepy. I'm just saying, this is insanity. Oh, don't forget when Hell Lords fight each other, like Mephisto, when they're clashing with each other, their battle, the collateral of their battle. In this occasion with Zatanish, yeah, another Hell Lord type being, these beings were blasting each other with so much force and just raw energy that the whole dimension, the universe they're in, be filled in psychic shreds long before it just lets you know that they was threatening all of this stuff. It was even stated that that they can sense a mystic overflow, and it's starting to spill over into Mephisto's realm and on the earthly plane, the earthly universe, two actual universes was in jeopardy from these beings clashing with each other. And this is what Adam Warlock had to compete with in his own realm, and defeated him. And that's why Thanos messed up Adam Warlock is impressive. Their energy was so crazy, it was going to go to the one universe, one dimension, to the actual earthly 616 universe plane. One could say a clash between Thanos. If he was in that situation, he would be able to clash with Mephisto and produce similar force, and they could accidentally mess up two different universes from the clatter of their heads. We've seen Thanos actually slam Doctor Strange. temporarily making him kind of drowsy. This is Doctor Strange, guys. Doctor freaking Strange. Speaking of Skyfather stuff, literally the Skyfather Odin, one can argue, this is during his prime days before the writer started disrespecting him too. This is back in the day. Thanos literally doesn't flinch from a blast from Odin. I guess Odin and Thanos both took turns withstanding each other's blasts. Like, this is probably one of the most flashier feats. It's a battle feat. A lot of people don't like battle feats and they're not flashy, but this one's pretty flashy. Odin was fighting pretty seriously. Like, Odin and Thanos have a full-blown fight. They're countering each other with energy projective type of attacks. Odin does some crazy energy waves to Thanos. Thanos just simply gets back up, and it's crazy how much blast power Odin has. This kind of shows Thanos' durability. Like, we see him getting blasted by Odin, the Skyfather. This is back in the days when Odin was respected by the writers. Thanos was literally pushing through the blast. You see the blast, you see him getting closer. He is pushing against this concussive force that's pushing this way. Thanos is pushing backwards this way. The amount of blast power we know Odin can produce, this big explosion or eruption of energy, Thanos is still ready to continue fighting. A full-blown battle with a Skyfather. Thanos being able to push through these blasts, Odin a being that can literally shatter galaxies, more than one galaxy. Knowing that Odin can blast away galaxies, and we see literally Thanos walk through those blasts, getting closer by the second to grab the spear, he can push through galaxy-shattering force, multiple galaxies being shattered. Thanos' raw power can withstand this kind of destruction, or he can just hit with that destruction because he had to push through it with his own strength. Odin giving him props about their fight, by the way. He said, "It has been eons since I have fought such a foe. Thanos of Titan, that's respect." Narration straight up said that it appears to be a simple slugfest. It is simultaneously waged on every plane of existence. Like, this is the type of energies that, like, Thanos was having to withstand being blasted against. Like, Odin, a being that can cause massive shockwaves which ripples across every plane of reality. Even beings light years away, all the way on Earth, can see the battle happening. That's how much raw energy is being produced. If Odin fails beating this guy, the entire universe could fall, they say. And this is the kind of blast or energy Thanos had to put up with. You see what I'm saying? Stuff that causes ripples or shock waves across every plane of reality. Thanos had to power through attacks that was, one could argue, rippling or making shockwaves in multiple universes or shaking different universes.
You're probably wondering why Odin didn't just reality warp him out of existence. Well, when you get so strong, like Thanos is one of those beings, he's so durable. Even if you have the power of reality warping, that's not an end all be all. You get resistance to reality warping type stuff after a while. It states here, reality, like all outside influences, has minimal effect on my being. I always hold true to myself, for I am Thanos, a unique being in any reality.
He was in a place with inconceivable realities. Good luck trying to reality warp Thanos out of existence, because there's been beings that literally use the reality stone, like, yep, one of the Infinity Gems, the reality one at that, and they try to reality warp Thanos to where he looks like a piece of BS. Like, look at this. Like, that's what Thanos looked like thanks to the reality stone. Thanos was somehow able to bust out of this reality warping crap and be back to normal, basically. Like, he resisted that from the reality stone. So if the reality stone can't reality warp him, what can? They even put him in categories like trans godlike, like in the same category with Zeus, Mangog. You have Thanos, Titan is here too. So let you know how powerful he is in the hierarchy when it comes to being the Skyfather level, I would say. Trans godlike are beings that have physical might at the outer reaches of immeasurable. It is augmented by vast stores of energy. Yeah, Thanos is an energy projector. You get the idea. Guys, he has to be a Skyfather level. I mean, this guy over here battling with Odin's dad, King Bor himself, somebody that's also a Skyfather tier by default. He's Odin's dad. Thanos was described as a universal constant. They talk about how anybody would go mad if they gave birth to a god. They're referring to Thanos. I mean, when his threat level is talked about, like in this scan, they pretty much talk about he's a threat level of universal. They talk about one-time reality, and they're probably talking about when he had the stones and stuff.
Even when you try to beat him in hacksy ways, like, you know, he's fought multiple different heroes. Like in this occasion, she literally tries to go inside of his head, like through his eyes. But Thanos was able to counter Monica, Spectrum, and he was able to blast her out because of his mental energies. I already talked about how his mind is a valuable asset at the very beginning of the video, but like right here, yeah, it's a literal time machine. He has devices or machines that can keep Avengers in stasis where they can't move, even can contain Hulk and Namor, and his little ships have like an auto repair function. Notice the changing. Yeah, and his ships can teleport you away. Not to mention not just his ships, but his little throne or seat he be sitting on can just teleport around the place. Like pop, boop, and yeah, this chair, do some time manipulation. I mean, he can make his own shields with his natural abilities, but his chair can do powerful shields too to block Silver Surfer too. I mean, Thanos is ridiculously strong, and like just in the cosmic scheme of things, like when Death is talking about her on how,
You have forever been outside the astral form. Life and death were never intended to hold sway over you. So like, let you know what the narrative is when it comes to Thanos' power in the cosmic realms and stuff. I guess this is the perk of chilling around cosmic aspect beings like death and stuff. Literal abstract beings. His cosmic presence is very weird. Like, they even talk about Thanos here as one of those odd beings who's outside Destiny's usual realm of influence. Chaos and order have no power over me, and so cannot detect my coming and goings. This could give you some more context on why he's just ridiculously strong, and why he's able to hang with these Skyfather tier beings without no freaking gauntlet. I mean, I shouldn't even have to mention his combat speed. Fighting all these top tier beings, Odin and them. Like, yeah, none of these beings can speed blitz him. And plus, you can see in the cases like this, where there's something like this is this close to him, you can clearly see the reflexes. So it lets you know that he's superhuman in that aspect too. Not to mention in his bio, they pretty much say he has superhuman speed too. Can't just blitz him and call it a day. He might not be like a sprinter or nothing, but he's not slow when it comes to reflexes. His hands can move quick. I would even go as far as saying his fists could move like this if he really wanted them to, if we're being honest.
Like, you see in the cases like here, he dodges, gets behind him with speed.
Notice how one panel he's on the right, and notice how he just zips over here, like they're implying some speed. I mean, Thanos, like, he's just treated as a cosmic threat. Like, they literally say the word cosmic level threats. They had to contain him in a super prison like this. This stuff usually wouldn't be able to contain him if it wasn't for him being weakened more than ever here in this particular situation. Stated here would have been impossible if it weren't for the fact that he's in a weakened state and they consider him this big of a threat. Now, you remember how way early in this video I talked about the God Quarry? And you know how earlier I brought up how he admitted he was weaker than Galactus? Well, one can argue, did he surpass Skyfathers, or is he just completely equal to them? Because with this God Quarry, there's implications he could surpass even Skyfathers. I mean, we literally seen Thanos fight like one could argue a cosmic type being when Thane was powered by the Phoenix Force. Phoenix Force is literally a cosmic being, and this fight does not seem to be a mismatch. Taking blasts from the Phoenix, hitting him with heavy strikes. Like, his head should have literally got knocked off, getting hit by the Phoenix this hard, but he's literally matching the power. He did mention that you do not know how to handle the power you yield, so obviously he's probably not as strong as what Jean Grey had the Phoenix, you know. I'm gonna be honest, I could care less who has the Phoenix. It doesn't matter who you are. With the Phoenix, you're a cosmic being. Thanos putting in work against a being like this has to be respected. I mean, there's even parts where it look like he's getting drowsy, putting pressure on the Phoenix powered being. Yeah, Thanos is holding his ground. Just a friendly reminder, this is what people that don't have the full power of the Phoenix Force can do to beings like Thor. Just a friendly reminder, and Thanos fought a stronger version of this. You see what I'm saying? Thor is not easy to be taken down like this, and Thanos is fighting a being that has more of the Phoenix Force than this particular situation. See, it's moments like this that make you want to see a rematch with him and Galactus. Because, you know, in the past he admitted he wasn't on his level, but with all this God Quarry power, what do you think about him like that against some Galactus now? You know what I mean? Of course, it depends on fed, unfed. I'm talking about well-fed. Unfed, yeah, everybody believes that Thanos can take on Galactus unfed, obviously. But, like, you know, when Galactus is at full power, you know, the writers barely ever let Galactus be at full power. So I'm talking about, like, full power Galactus. That would be interesting to see. Even though technically, somehow, his future self did, apparently him and the Living Tribunal got dropped. Like, I wish we knew how he did this. And he's strong enough to harm his future self that did all of this, apparently. Like, but what do you think? There's implications Thanos still can hang with cosmic centric type beings. I mean, he's literally fighting Lady Death, a literal aspect of the universe. So all that Mephisto stuff I brought up earlier, yeah, he's literally fighting an aspect being similar to Mephisto. Even one can argue greater, the concept of death itself. And I'm not joking, they quite literally have a beam struggle, like on some Dragon Ball Z type stuff. Her lore literally talks about how death, technically, she shouldn't have a gender, technically, but because you're a concept, really. Death is an abstract being who embodies the concept of mortality along with eternity, infinity, and oblivion, the cosmic beings in the Marvel Universe. She's one of the great forces in the cosmic existence, one of the great cosmic forces. She's quite literally the brother of Galactus. Due to her cosmic beingness, you guys know this stuff, she has no physical form. Death assumes forms granted by the dimension of manifestations, and the appearance is determined by who it wishes to appeal. Like, there was a time, like, you guys know, Thanos surpassed death in power with the Infinity Gauntlet, but that was way in the past. This is currently, and this is no Infinity Stones, guys. This lets you know how far Thanos has come throughout the years, literally fighting a cosmic being. Just to give you an idea of how mighty these beings are. I mean, look at the stuff they're destroying, these buildings and stuff. Notice how even powerhouses like Blue Marvel, who's a Hulkish Thor's being, look how easily he gets handled by death. So it lets you know what Thanos is fighting is no joke. Like, Thanos is literally fighting one of the beings you see in these little pictures with these different cosmic beings you always see. She's always here. Death is always there. This is back when Thanos had the Infinity Gauntlet. This video is not showing no power-ups really when it comes to the Infinity Gauntlet, Heart of the Universe, and stuff like that. But this is when Thanos was fighting and entire solar systems were getting destroyed. This kind of lets you know how versatile Death is, even though she doesn't hardly have no screen time. A good assumption would be to assume that she has like dang near limitless cosmic powers, because notice how she can shield these beings from all that destruction like it ain't no big deal. The Death that Thanos is more than likely fighting is probably like a embodied, or one could say an avatar concept of, you know how they have to make manifestations to fit in our universe. Like that's probably the version that Thanos is fighting. So he's not fighting the true omniversal Death. You know what I'm saying? That's, yeah, the omniversal Death would be, you know, above all these characters. I mean, you know she has blast power. Look at her power grid, energy projection, like everything's maxed out. Cosmic being. You see how she's projecting energy here, or how she can easily kill other beings. Stuff like this shows her cosmic power. I mean, Thanos is literally beam struggling with a being that probably can blow away multiple universes, guys. Quite literally. In raw power, I would definitely still give a cosmic being like Death advantage in raw power, because in occasions like this, it's implied here. When Thanos is bleeding and Death's not really hurt, what we do see is her get trapped. And Thanos talks about, you see, my prison was no ordinary anomaly. My mistress, it was a wellspring of nothingness itself, a dark crucible that allowed me to forge this new dwelling. And he made this prison for Death. You know this is in some impressive stuff of Mr. Fantastic. How did you create that stone? Yeah, but take that as you will. I definitely would give Death the advantage, but he was able to entrap her and still kind of hang with her toe-to-toe for a bit. And that's a cosmic being with limitless cosmic power. That's a literal aspect of the universe. Even if you want to say Thanos is below her like that, still an impressive showing. You know you got a strong willpower when you can withstand the penance stare and actually enjoy it. Well, I guess one can say, you know, you're on another level of insanity when you can take the penance stare and like it. Talking about something beautiful. The possible future of the King Thanos crap implies he could possibly be a omniversal-ish type being. I mean, how else do you explain, in this King Thanos stuff, how do you explain freaking beings like Galactus over there, like a future version of Galactus in a possible future that probably won't ever happen, moaning and crying in pain, someone help. Like, I honestly can't even picture a serious voice of him talking like this. Or what the heck did he do to Black Bolt's voice, and why the heck is Black Bolt's voice able to kill Celestials? Yeah, let's be honest, this story doesn't make too much sense. Ends up getting Surtur's Twilight Sword, supposedly murking Surtur in the far future, possible future that probably won't ever happen, and in one of his many adventures. And a whole bunch of gods, a Watcher, just a lot of beings he took out. Infinity, cosmic beings, like what? There was these super powerful beings known as the Sisters of Eternity. He believed he could kill them if he really had to. He believed. Beings that can do this to the Phoenix Force. Well, at least make the Phoenix Force fly all. But like I said, take this as you will. I mean, he said he can beat these beings. There's not really proof that he can beat these Sisters of Eternity. These Sisters of Eternity are pretty powerful still, though. Being able to do this to Death itself, the concept of death. But what do you guys think? They're literally talking about cosmic beings, beings that are aspects. And look who's in the picture with these beings. You see what I'm saying? Like, they're including him in this conversation. Like, why is Thanos here? You know what I mean? Like, you always see him in the battle. Like, they call him as a god. Like, you know, he's always here with them. They say he is the most powerful and ambitious adversary, Thanos. Notice how when the cosmic beings say you are not our equal, he be like having back talk. He be talking back to him. He talking to cosmic beings like this. And why is he at the table with these cosmic beings here, for example? You see it's like a pattern. Talking about making planet busting look like a joke. Like, y'all remember Tyrant, right? This guy was amped up in this particular situation, had the power of the reality gem or stone, reality stone. You know, one of the stones that be going into the Infinity Gauntlet. Yeah, that reality warping thing. Tell me why Thanos and Silver Surfer working together. It was a team effort on this particular situation, but this is still impressive because look what the reality stone did to Thanos. Like, and this still wasn't enough. Even Tyrant was surprised. Like, what the? Thanos breaks out of this. He resisted the reality stone, something that literally has infinite power. How did he resist this? Counted Tyrant, battled Tyrant, knocked the stone out of his hand. And with all this reality warping stuff going on, Thanos and them were still battling him somehow. Thanos was vital on helping take down Tyrant, even though he was ridiculously amped up more than normal in his base state. He's blasting with his blast power to where these two end up getting the upper hand over this being, and it appears that Thanos finished them off, saying Tyrant is no longer a threat. But is he gone for good, though? You know, but this is still impressive. Resisting the reality stone, battling Tyrant. Tyrant's already strong in his own. He battled Tyrant along with Silver Surfer. That was help. But 2 versus 1 against somebody that has the Infinity Stone, that's ridiculous. Did you know he got in a fist fight with the Phoenix Force or Cosmic Being? Did you know he got in a full-blown slugfest with Death? Got overpowered, but still ended up finding a way to trap her? Shows his intellect and just prep time type in this, even if he does finally get overpowered. Did you know he can hang with Skyfathers that well? In the future, it's looking like he's above your typical Skyfather, but that's none of my business. But before I get going, everybody, I gotta say thanks for the donations, everybody. It helps out a lot. Respect Thanos. He gets pretty scary.
I'm glad you are enjoying your time on the channel. Make sure you check out the playlist on the channel to see other How Strong videos. If you like what this channel is offering, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys later.